good morning, everyone. Again, I'm going to start launching some polls, so we'd love to hear your feedback, and your first one should be up on your screen right now. I'll give you a couple minutes to do each one. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our PowerBrew this morning. Hopefully everybody has had a chance to grab some coffee or tea or the caffeine of your choice. Hopefully it's warm because it is chilly out there. I felt like it got really cold really quick. So my name is Michelle Shepard. I am the coordinator of client support services here with Advantage C. And for those of you who join us regularly, and for those of you who don't, you'll see a new face on your screen today. We are honored to have Jill Hermes join our Advantage C team. She is the new director of corporate solutions. She has over 20 years of corporate recruiting and staffing before coming here to Carroll. And most recently, she served as the Director of Career Services in a higher education institution. Jill earned her Master's of Arts in Human Sciences, and her undergrad degree is in Human Resource Management from Hood College in Frederick, Maryland. So Jill definitely brings a collaborative approach to business development, and she enjoys working with community businesses and organizations to bring out their very best. So this is Jill's second week with us here at Carroll, and she is diving right in today. You're going to hear from her in just a moment.
Thanks so much, Michelle. It's my pleasure to be here. So as we look at this first slide, we see some of the different things that Advantage C brings to the table in the different areas of training, facilitation, consulting, and assessment. And as Libby talks today, I'm sure you'll be thinking about your own organization and your different needs in these different areas.
So just a few housekeeping items. I know a lot of you have seen this screen before, but for those of you who are joining us today, two main things on your screen. You'll see a small orange arrow at the top right that will collapse and expand your webinar workspace. So you can either see more or less of the presentation based on your personal preference. We also love when these PowerBrews are interactive. We love getting questions from the audience. So feel free to go ahead and type questions in the bottom pane on your right. And as time permits, we'll go ahead and get to those. If we're unable to get to those, hopefully we have too many to get to, we will get to those after the webinar through email. We also record these webinars. So after today's PowerBrew, you will get an email with the link to the recording. So feel free to share that out to those you feel might benefit from today's information.
So today's PowerBrew will be addressing employee rewards and recognition, what employees want. And we're pleased to have Libby Trostle presenting the information today. So Libby is our Senior Director of Corporate Services and Workforce Development here at Carroll Community College and of Advantage C. Libby holds a Senior Professional and Human Resource Certification from HRCI, as well as a Senior Certified Professional Certification from SHRM, Society for Human Resource Management. Prior to joining Carroll, Libby spent nearly 24 years in the financial services industry in various leadership positions in human resources, training and organizational development. She earned her MBA from Mount St. Mary's University in Emmitsburg and an undergraduate degree in business from Notre Dame University of Maryland. Libby's expertise lies in organizational development with an emphasis in leadership management development and performance management. And I can say that after being here just a little over a week, I've already learned so much from her. She is passionate about helping people and organizations succeed, and it is my pleasure to introduce you, Libby Trostle.
Thank you very much, Jill. Good morning, everyone. I'm so tickled to speak to you today about employee rewards and recognition because as someone that is passionate about performance management, it is near and dear to my heart. I have spent a lot of time working within human resources, within organizations, and part of setting the culture for organizations. And I can tell you that rewards and recognition is not a standalone item. It is not a standalone product. It's something that you must have in order to help people perform to their maximum potential. And so it should be an integral part of any performance management system. So I'm guessing we have a lot of different variety of people on the call today. And so what I want to say just kind of up front is my message to you is that it doesn't matter what your role is in the organization. Everybody can implement some ideas from today's webinar, or at least I hope everybody can implement some ideas. So as we go through the information today, I really like to think about, or like you to think about you in your organization, what your role is, and how you can help to influence or impact the performance of other people and recognize them for a job well done. Just to give you an idea of what we're going to go over today, I'm going to talk a little bit about why you should consider a rewards and recognition program. And then we're going to make a distinction between rewards and recognition because there is a difference. We're going to talk a little bit about how to personalize it. And then we're going to talk about some low cost and no cost ideas. And then lastly, we're going to talk about how you can implement and develop a rewards and recognition culture in your organization. And then hopefully we'll have time for questions at the end. So first, let's talk about why. Why should you even consider this if you don't already have a program? I think the benefits are quite clear, and there is a true business case for this. And it may seem a little bit like common sense, but we're going to run through it anyway. Number one, whether you like it or not, you are competing in a global world today. And so you might be sitting there thinking, well, my business is on Main Street in Westminster. How am I competing in a global world? Well, you are because of the internet. So any employees that you may be prospecting or trying to attract to your organization may also be looking for jobs online. Today we're a much more mobile society, so moving across the nation or across the globe is common anymore. People do that for work all the time. And so we are in also a major talent shortage. And it's not just a shortage in Carroll County, in Maryland, in the United States. It is a global talent shortage. So if you're seeking candidates in cybersecurity, IT, manufacturing, project management, just to name a few, those are some areas where there are huge talent shortages. So you need to have an opportunity to attract people to your organization, and not just attract them, but you need to be looking at ways to maintain that that talent pool, maintain those individuals within your organization. And if you're not successful at maintaining them in your organization, you're going to have turnover and associated costs. Now, the numbers on the cost of turnover vary widely, and you know they're really hard to nail down and quantify. I remember years ago in the financial services industry, I was a teller trainer. And we had huge turnover. Well, not huge, but pretty significant turnover. And so I took it upon myself to just calculate the amount of time that I spent as a teller trainer training new employees. And it was a significant amount of money. So at that time, which of course, you know, this was back in the 80s, right? So, you know, the dollar, of course, doesn't go as far today as it did back then. But one teller leaving and then me having to retrain another cost the organization $5,000 to $7,000. So at that time, that was like 1/3 of what we paid a teller trainer per year. So you know, the costs do vary widely, and you know, the expenses that go into it, you can think are the hard dollar cost. So of course your advertising, if you're having to pay for recruitment assistance through a third party, then you also have the hidden cost, the loss of productivity, the decreased morale, because guess what? Everybody that's left in the organization is now covering for the person that left. So I did that until Jill came along. So I'm looking at Jill right now. Thank heaven she's here. because Michelle and I had to pick up the slack while we were down one position. And I'm sure you all know what that feels like in your organization. And sometimes when you have hard to fill positions, it can be months, sometimes almost a year or longer until you get your replacement. And that's because it's really tough to find good talent these days. We're all competing for the same talent pool. Additional things that are kind of hidden costs are lost knowledge in your organization, as well as anything that's related to onboarding that you're doing for employees, turnover in benefits, training new employees, and the time and effort that goes into all that, and then the time people take away from their normal work to be doing this with a new employee also decreases productivity. So you want to make sure that you hang on to your employees, and rewards and recognition is one way to help to do that. So common sense, right? If you are recognizing people, they're going to feel better about their job, and so you're going to automatically help to improve employee morale. Now, it's not the only thing that helps improve employee morale, but it certainly helps. Companies that are nominated and win awards for the best places to work often have very significant recognition and rewards programs. And then improved employee morale leads to increased productivity, because when people are happy at work, they care about what they're doing, they work more quickly, they're not distracted and thinking about other things, they're focused at on the task at hand, and they feel a sense of purpose to get things done. And not just get things done, but get things done well. They take personal pride in their work, and so recognition programs often lead to decreased errors in an organization. In fact, some organizations reward for meeting performance goals and for zero defects in manufacturing and other product distribution and manufacturing, excuse me. So there's just some of the reasons, and I'm sure that there's many more, but those are all that I am including for today. But, you know, I think the business case is pretty clear. If, you know, and when you're looking at rewards and recognition, it has a little bit of touchy-feely to it. And so some in the business world might think, oh, we don't get into that warm and fuzzy stuff. But let me tell you, the soft side of rewards and recognition comes back in hard dollars, so to speak. So I think it's something that if you don't have any formal programs within your organization, or maybe you're doing something in your area, but it's not an organizational culture, I think you could probably pretty easily meet the business case if you start talking dollars and cents to those people that don't want to hear about the warm, fuzzy stuff, because it's definitely an impact. So before we delve in any deeper, we're going to take a look at the difference between rewards and recognition. So there is a difference, and we use the term kind of loosely. Recognition is something that probably happens more readily on a daily basis, hopefully. And recognition is generally not monetary, and it may or may not be related to performance outcomes, whereas rewards are typically monetary in nature, and they are definitely, or hopefully to be effective, tied to performance outcomes. So to put it another way, rewards are of value or of some tangible benefit to the individual who's being rewarded, and recognition is a psychological benefit for them. It makes the person feel appreciated, makes the individual feel valued within the organization. And so can you have rewards and recognition together? Absolutely, yes. Can you have recognition alone? Absolutely, yes. Can you have rewards without recognition? No. And I'm going to explain that in a little bit. So If you remember only one thing today from this webinar, this is probably the most important thing that you're going to learn about rewards and recognition. And this goes back to what I just said, or what I just covered on the earlier slide. And that is feedback, aka recognition, should always accompany rewards. So rewards and recognition should always include feedback that is timely, specific, and related to performance expectations. If you are giving someone a reward and you are not tying it directly to, or not tying the feedback directly to that reward, you have wasted your time, money, and effort. Individuals who are the recipients need to understand what it is they did that has made them worthy of this award. And so the same is true for recognition. You want to make sure that it's clear, that it happens within a close proximity to the item that you're recognizing, and that it relates somehow to performance expectations or how it has helped the company, the team, etc. So a very quick down and dirty model that I've used over the years, I did not invent this. This came to me, golly, back in the early 2000s, but it's a really great tool for remembering always when you're giving feedback to an individual, when you're recognizing them or recognizing them with a reward, you want to remember to bet, so to speak. Now, I'm not advocating for gambling in any way, shape, or form, but this is an easy way to remember what you need to do, what you need to say when you give that recognition or reward to the individual. So it's a little acronym BET, and the B in BET stands for behavior. What is the specific behavior that the individual demonstrated? Okay, so you can't just say that was great work. Okay, so if I'm talking to Jill, I'm like, Jill, that's great work. And she's sitting there thinking, okay, what was great? I'm not sure what you're talking about. Was it the thing I just did, or was it the project last week? Or, you know, people are doing a lot of stuff during the day. So you need to be reinforcing what it is that they did that has caused you to want to recognize them. The E in BET stands for effect. What was the outcome? What happened as a result of the behavior that Jill demonstrated, or what Jill did? And then the last thing, of course, is thanks. You want to make sure you add in the thanks there. That's the whole point, right? But you just don't say thanks. You might say something like, I really appreciate your conscientiousness in the workplace, or something to that effect. Oh, we got a question. Go ahead, Michelle.
Wanted to ask a quick question related to this BET acronym. So is this something that you would do when it happened? You would say this to them, you would write them a note, you would, based on the polling questions, I know there were different kinds of praise that people like. Can you just tell me briefly how you would use this and when?
So I have another Oh, did everybody hear me?
No.
Okay. All right. Which part? I am terribly sorry. We had a little technical problem there, and we need to backtrack just a wee bit. So, Michelle, where do I need to backtrack to? Oh, okay. I'm so sorry. All right. Well, I apologize for that. I muted myself when Michelle asked her question. I forgot to mute myself back on. So, okay, so Michelle's question was this BET model. Do you use it when you are writing a letter or a thank you note to an employee, or do you use it when you're verbally talking to them? And my answer is both. You want to make sure you include this every time that you are recognizing or rewarding an employee. So if Michelle was, I'll just give this example again. If Michelle was training Jill on a new sales system, my feedback to her would be, Michelle, thank you for training Jill on the new sales system. That's the behavior. The effect is it helped Jill and the entire sales team meet their goals this quarter. And then the thanks is, in my own words, thanking her. I appreciate your willingness to help out our new employees and onboard them to the organization. So hopefully everybody understands how that works. And again, it's a really quick, down and dirty, easy acronym for you to remember. And it must accompany rewards and recognition in the workplace in order for that to be effective. Okay, so on your screen is a little quote. People may take a job for money, but they often leave it for more recognition. So think about that for a minute. So when you're seeing that, that is pretty much saying to you that people may be tempted by money, but they leave because the money is a short-term motivator, right? I remember years ago when I was first starting out and I had my very first job, and my husband at the time and I were married, and my husband and I, we made a little bit of money. And I remember his mother saying to us, no matter how much money you make, you'll spend it. And that's true. So you take a job for more money, you upgrade your lifestyle, and then all of a sudden, what do you need? Oh, more money, right? So money is a motivator in some cases, and it is to some individuals, but recognition is something that is more sustainable and goes a long way. We got another question. I'll remember to put my mute button back on next time. Okay, go ahead, Michelle.
So maybe I'm jumping the gun here on this, and you probably will get to this later, but is there too much recognition that you can do to where it kind of feels like you've made all that money and it's not really the benefit anymore? I don't know.
Okay, and I'm back on, I hope. Okay, so, that's a good question, Michelle. And actually, I did not include that in the presentation, but I was thinking about it earlier, so I'm glad you brought that up. We're going to be talking about ways to recognize in a little bit, but it's absolutely true that if you overuse recognition, that it can become an entitlement or an expectation of individuals. So you want to make sure that you are giving recognition, praise, and rewards for things you really deem above and beyond the call of duty. Now, it's okay to recognize people for a job well done. That's part of their job description. But you want to stop and think about what types of things you are recognizing individuals for. And it is probably a good idea to kind of have that idea ahead of time, not be caught on the spot, and then you get in a situation where you recognize one person, but you neglected to recognize another, right? So you want to give some careful thought and planning about, number one, the types of recognition and or rewards that you're going to do in your organization or in your department or on your team, and when they're going to be appropriate. So you kind of have your own kind of system that you have structured in advance so that you are fair and equitable and you don't inadvertently make someone feel unappreciated. That would be the backfiring of the whole point of the system. So that's a really good question. Did that answer it, Michelle?
Sure did. Thanks.
Okay, very good. All right, so here, this slide, Bob Nelson quote talking about money, talking about recognition. So what do employees really want? The answer might surprise you. So this survey, I've been using this for several years, and actually these used to be numbered and ordered, and I called them the top 10. I'm not ordering and numbering them now because these things probably change over time. But these 10 items that I'm going to share on the screen with you came from a survey of more than 40,000 employees across the United States. And it was done by an individual. Her name is Raj Jeffries, and her company is called Recognition Secrets. And she has written a couple books on recognition. And the reason I like to use this information, and by the way, in preparing for this, some of my research still supported a lot of these things. So I felt like it's still worthy of sharing this. And the reason I share this is because you may be surprised of what people, when surveyed, said what they really want from their employer. And so number one is, okay, the first item, I'm not going to number them. The first item is guidance and feedback. So employees want to know that that someone is in the workplace to support them, helping them to understand what to do, providing them with feedback along the way. So when they know when they're doing a good job or when they know that they need to change something or improve something. And then, of course, they want this in a tactful manner, in a constructive way that helps them, obviously not in a way that insults them or belittles them and degrades them. I think that's common sense. Nobody likes that. So it's critical for them to understand where they are. Okay, not knowing where they are or how they're performing in their supervisor's eyes is a very uncomfortable place for them to be, and it really decreases morale because people are like, I don't even know what my supervisor thinks. I just keep coming in every day. I'm doing what I'm doing, and I go home. So guidance and feedback was a critical thing that showed up on this survey. Number two, good working conditions. Obviously, they want a safe environment. They want to feel that their workplace is a good place to show up every day. Not to talk about the college too much, but we have a beautiful building here, and when people compliment me on the building, maybe visitors from the outside come in and they say, oh, this is a beautiful place, and I'm like, yeah, it's a great place to come to work every day. So if your employees can feel good about the working conditions, they have adequate break time, they maybe have nice facilities that they can get away from their desk, their office is a nice space where they have the privacy and or the working environment that they need. Those are things that employees appreciate, and it helps them to do a good job. The next item, obviously management support, right? Every employee wants to feel supported by their management, and not just their immediate manager, but the senior leadership in the organization as well. Growth opportunities is important, and people need to feel that the organization cares about their professional growth, and they also like to see that their organization provides them with professional development opportunities. Now, one word of caution here. Occasionally at Advantage C, we'll get an employer that we're meeting with, and they may want to provide training to employees as an employee benefit to get them out of the office for the day, out of their workspace. While that's a really nice, warm, fuzzy thing to do, it's not necessarily the most cost-effective thing to do. So people want to know that whatever they're getting in the training is going to help them grow professionally or personally. So for an example, if I'm in a customer service area and you send me to training for the day, and that training is unrelated to what I do and really is not going to be applicable to me back on the job, you've given me a day out of the office, but you haven't really helped me grow as an individual and in my role. So you want to make sure that growth opportunities for training and development are provided to employees, but also with the mindset to help them grow within the company and grow as a professional. And the next item, interesting and purposeful work. So this survey was probably done about the time that the Purpose-Driven Life was, that book was written. And it talked about meaning in your work. And this is becoming more and more true today. We don't want to necessarily, as employees, be in the corporate grind and go in, day out, and not understand what is the end goal? How am I contributing to the mission? How am I helping others? And you have employees that that's very important to them. And so it's important for you to understand who those employees are and talk to them a little bit about why they're passionate about what they're passionate about and how their work may be able to tie into that. Okay, and just to continue, the next item on the list is high wages. And I put high in quotes because of what I said before, right? High is higher than what you make now, but there's always going to be a higher than what you make now. And so while it is a satisfier to individuals at certain points in time, and obviously we all need to make enough money to pay the bills, feed our family, maybe do a little bit of extra things in life and save a little money. You know, it doesn't have to be, you know, a six-digit salary necessarily to make someone happy, depending, you know, on the individual. So, and one interesting point about this survey, while I said I didn't number them, when they were numbered, high wages was not number one. It was actually fourth or fifth on the list. So that's why I said the answers might surprise you here a little bit. The next item is job security. And so this is something that's probably also a little bit generational, and this might be the only thing on this list that might be a little bit dated. If I was surveying some millennials today, they may not be worried about job security the way that I am, for an example, worried about job security. But on the same note, they want to know that they're not going to show up to work tomorrow and there's a sign on the door that says out of business as well. So they want a company where they feel like they are secure for an unforeseen or unforeseeable time. The next item, sympathetic understanding of personal problems. You've probably heard a lot about this. There's a lot of work-life balance stuff that's out there. You know, people have families, they have lives. Myself, I have grandchildren, and then I have aging parents. So I'm like a sandwich generation. And I feel like every other day I've got a personal problem going on, right? And, you know, so it's really important to me personally that my manager is understanding of that. And it's just, you know, like Libby, you know, this needs to stop. You know, you need to focus on work. And so people want to know that their manager, supervisor, their organization sees them as an individual, someone outside of the workplace, and also somebody that has other interests and passions. So personal problems, understanding as an individual about my personal desires to help in the community, for an example, or to have a hobby, or you know, or to talk about my family, okay, and see me as a person. Now the next item is really critical. And this is one that that surprised me when I first saw it. People like to know what's going on. And so if I'm part of a team and my supervisor's not communicating with me, that's really going to make me feel like I'm unimportant. I'm not important enough to know what's going on. Everybody's heard or probably said it in their life, like, I'm the last one to know. You know, I'm like a mushroom. They keep me in the dark, right? So communication, if you're a team leader, a supervisor, manager, CEO, as much as you can communicate to your employees in advance what is happening, what is going on, what is going to happen, as long as it's not, you know, proprietary or a human resource issue with another employee. I mean, obviously there's things that just have to remain confidential, but as much as you can lay the groundwork, people feel that sense of purpose. Then they're part of this team. They're like in the know, so to speak. And this actually was very high up on the list of the survey. And the very last item on the list is probably the biggest one of all: full appreciation for work done. So that is recognition, right? Someone recognizing me, and it doesn't cost a cent. So it is huge for individuals to have someone recognize their value, what they bring to the organization, and the appreciation for their efforts. Years ago, when I was in financial services, I was telling Jill this story the other day, I think. We were driving around Carroll County, so we were just talking away, and I was a floater. So if you've never been in banking, a floater is someone that goes from branch to branch to branch to help fill in for shortages. And I was telling her it was like the best job I ever had, because when I would go to a branch, when I get sent to a branch to help out, they needed me, right? Somebody was out, there was a shortage, and I was there to help. I was like the superhero. And when I would leave the branch, everybody would thank me. They'd be, "Thank you, Libby, for coming today. Thank you, Libby." And I'd be like, "Oh, this is really nice, you know?" So let me ask you, how many times have you thanked your employees for their efforts today at the end of the day? You know, we take it for granted that the employee works hard all day long and they go home and they're probably tired and they've got to go home and work some more with their family and, you know, help kids with homework, make dinner, whatever it is they do in the evening. And so try it one time. I think it might give them a really great feeling. And to Michelle's question, that's probably something you can't overuse. Okay, so next on your screen is a quote from Zig Ziglar, and it really sums up the things we went over. So research indicates that employees have 3 prime needs: interesting work, recognition for doing a good job, and being let in on things that are going on in the company. And those were all 3 things that ranked very high in that survey of more than 40,000 employees. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to take a look at rewards and recognition. And let me see, we did a poll earlier. And of the folks that are on the call with us today, we have 14 people that are CEO and senior leader. I'm sorry, 14%. And 71% are managers and team leaders. And 14% are team members. Okay, so we have a variety of responsibilities within the organization. So again, I want to tell you that the rewards and recognition ideas that we're going to talk about right now are things that anybody can do. In fact, I worked in an organization one time where we had a system where we could recognize our coworkers and peers for doing a good job. We had these little pre-printed cards that were called I Notice cards. And we would, let's say an employee got me information in a really timely manner, and I just felt like, wow, that was really above and beyond. You know, maybe they said they'd get it for me tomorrow, and they had it on my desk today at 2 o'clock. I could recognize that employee. I could write a little I Notice card out. I could fill it out, again, being very specific about what it is that they did, how it helped me, and thank them using the BET model. And people wore these things like a badge of honor in our organization. Every employee had a supply of them, and they could recognize cross-department, within department. People would hang them on their cubicles and paper their walls with them. It was a really awesome culture. So anything that we're talking about today, if someone, we're all each other's customers. If somebody assists you in the organization, they're not necessarily your direct report, there may be your peer, they could be your supervisor. You can actually recognize your supervisor for something that they do. Think about how you can implement these things within your particular role in the organization.
I can't remember, did we switch it
Before I get started on some of the ideas I'm going to share with you today, I want to say that there are more formal structured programs that happen within the organization, and I'm going to define those as the things that are supported out of HR. They may have payroll implications. For an example, President's Awards, Salesperson of the Year, Employee of the Month, those types of programs. The kind of ideas we're going to talk about today are more so the kinds of things that you can do on a personal team level or on a more less formal level in your organization. And they're not going to
I
cost a
probably
lot.
have a generic extra large because there's no way I'll fit into a large.
Okay, before we get started looking at the ideas, though, I need to give you a word of advice. You want to make sure that you personalize the rewards and recognition. So that is, know the people that you're going to recognize and or reward. You need to understand what motivates them, how they like to be recognized, what they value, etc. So let's see, Michelle, it's my turn to ask you a question. How do you like to be recognized for a job well done?
Well, so I think a lot of the things that you touched on earlier would certainly apply. It's ironic because I actually have an example. I think it was about 4 years ago, I worked on a climate survey with Libby, and this is actually before I worked directly with Libby. And she had, after I had compiled the results and I had handed in all the information to her and she had brought it to the client, she had written me handed me a handwritten note that had thanked me for the job well done, and that she had made sure that she let the client know that I was involved and I was behind the scenes. And I actually still have that on my bulletin board today. So I think I enjoyed that handwritten note more than I would have enjoyed sort of a public praise. So I think that's my speed in the employee rewards area.
Oh, I vaguely remember that. I need to do that more often, apparently. And I promise you, I had no idea what she was going to say today. Awesome. And so just a little note on that, pun intended. There is a company, a recognition company that makes these really cute little cards, thank you cards, and tchotchkes for work. And I think, Michelle, that's where I have a supply of those cards. I think that might have written it in one of those cards, right? Okay. All right, good. I can't remember what the name of that company is right now off the top of my head. Okay, so Jill, now you're on the spot. Second week here. I need to know, how do you like to be recognized?
Gosh, how do I like to be recognized? I think that feeling appreciated that you were talking about really resonates with me. Just simply noticing whether it's above and beyond or catching on to an idea or bringing value to the group, and just knowing that you see it and you appreciate it, that means a lot to me.
Okay, very good. Now let's look at the audience, because this was a poll question. So this is very interesting. So of the selection, we had public praise, private praise, money and gifts, promo items like logo items, advertising items, and then perks like employee perks, like maybe afternoon off or something like that. So first of all, 0% said public praise. That's really key there. That's really interesting. 9% said private praise. 27% said money and gifts. 36% said promotional advertising items, logoed items. And 27% said employee perks. So that's pretty interesting, because the highest percentage was not money, number one. So that's really interesting. And then no one said public praise. So that's very interesting. I like those polls, very enlightening. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these ideas. So here are some ways to recognize, and I separated these out by recognition and rewards, okay? So item number 1 is a personal note of thanks. We talked about that a little bit. And remember, any of this, you're going to remember your BET model: behavior, effect, and thank you. Another way is to really take time to listen to your employees. You know, listening to your employees, hearing them out, makes them feel important and valued, and that recognizes that they bring contributions to the organization. You might recognize somebody by giving them responsibility for a project that says, I trust you, right? I trust you to get this done. You're valuable to the organization. I know you'll add value on this particular project, and so I'm giving you the job. That might be organizing a company picnic. That might be, actually, probably nobody wants that job. I wouldn't want that job, but that might be maybe handling a new project or a new client, something that gives that person a little extra responsibility than their current job would allow. We talked about this a little bit. Get to know your employees as people, as individuals. Ask about their family. Ask about their weekends. Ask them what's new and exciting in their life, what their hobbies are. Involve employees in decision making. Coach employees and help to develop them. We talked about that. Public recognition and praise, which nobody in this group likes, by the way. Just a reminder there. You know, when I was researching for this, there were actually companies that were posting things on Facebook or LinkedIn about their employees. Now, I could see if it's like the top salesperson of the quarter or something major like that, but you know, you probably want to make sure that that's okay with the employee. Because many people do not like public praise. In fact, I didn't actually speak about me, but you know, even if it's just in a small team meeting, I don't like somebody to do that to me. I would rather just, you know, I just figure, well, I'm just doing my job. You know, I think to me, more personal one-on-one is what I look for. So use that one with caution. Make sure you know your employee and that it was something that they would value. There could be some that really like that. There was an idea that I saw online that I thought was cool, have a traveling trophy. So a trophy for an employee, you know, that goes above and beyond. And maybe that trophy is delivered by you with a special message about what they did, again, using the BET model. And then they get to display that on their desk for a specified period of time. We talked about communication. So communicate. I always like to say communicate, 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 and when you're done, communicate some more. You can never over communicate. Nobody has ever said, you know what, we learn too much around here, right? So don't take it for granted. Make sure you are intentional with communication and keeping people informed. They really value it. Another idea is a VIP parking spot. We've had some things here over the college. I don't know if anybody's parked at the college, but it you know, in the winter, it can be a long walk some days. And so we've had some situations here where they've given a vice president's parking spot away to an employee for specific things. And, you know, small things like that go a long way. So there are some ways to recognize. All of them are no cost. Oh, let me go back. Yes, Michelle's got a question.
So let's say you think you know your employee, and I guess without asking them which ways they like to be recognized, let's say you publicly recognize them in a meeting and it does not go over well. How do you handle situations where the recognition doesn't match the employee?
Michelle, you don't do that. I already told you, don't do that. Well, I would say that that would be a faux pas, and you definitely would want to apologize to the employee and be very specific that, you know, I'm really sorry that I put you on the spot. I didn't take time to learn about what was important to you. You know, for the future, how would you like me to handle that differently? I think that that might be the only thing that you can do at that point. Let me just say one more thing, and I know we're running short on time, so I'm going to start to talk a little bit faster. But I've been to meetings before where they go around the room and, you know, all the managers say something nice about your employees. Do not do that, okay? Because it only makes people feel bad. Everybody brings something to the table, and it's something that you are more likely to upset people than to make people feel good. That, okay, come up with one nice thing that Cindy did this week. Okay, I highly recommend against that. And again, it should be very personal. It shouldn't be contrived or planned. You know, recognition is not. It doesn't come that way. It needs to come naturally and not forced. That answer your question, Michelle?
Yes, it did. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, so you can have recognition with a tiny reward, and so I thought this would be a fun slide to share. So as you're recognizing someone, maybe with a personal note, you know, most everybody likes chocolate and candy and sweets, and so here's some sweet treats that you can include with a message. So for an example, instead of a thanks a million a message, it might be thanks $100,000, which is 100 grand, right? You know, kudos to you for completing this project. Thanks for going extra above and beyond. You're a lifesaver, and what did the person do? Or you're out of this world for the Milky Way bar. So there's some cute ideas. And by the way, there's a ton more online that you can look up. Okay, Jill just said her favorite is Milky Way, just so I know. Wink, wink. Okay. Okay, and okay, so what are some ways to reward? Okay, we just talked about small rewards. One of them is what we would refer to as a spot reward, catching somebody in the act of doing something really extraordinary. One place I worked, they called this a WHAM, and WHAM stood for walking around money, and every manager was given $35 in cash in $5 bills, and so that they could walk around, and in the workplace, if they witnessed somebody like helping a customer going above and beyond, they could take one of those I notice cards that we talked about earlier, and they could clip a $5 bill to it. Back then, $5 got you lunch. And they could reward people on the spot. Remember I said earlier that timeliness is important. You want to make sure you catch people while it's fresh and reinforce the great things that they're doing. You can also buy $5 gift cards, do the similar thing. Logo items, we talked about that. A lot of organizations have logoed items that they save for clients. So pull some of those back and use them for employees. Time off, you know, Michelle, go home at noon this Friday, you know, or come in late tomorrow. You've worked really hard this week and I can see the bags under here. No, I'm just teasing. And you know, take the morning with your family to have a nice breakfast or whatever the case may be. There's also the offsite lunch with the CEO or the manager. And then also, this is a great idea. So maybe I learned that Jill likes to support the Humane Society because she's an animal lover and whatnot. So I might make a donation to the Humane Society in Jill's name and then present her with a certificate stating that I'd done that. That goes back to understanding what people are passionate about and understanding that someone would appreciate that. And then there's team rewards. So some of these, are going to be common sense, a team lunch or an after-work gathering, a team service project. So you want to reward your team for a job well done. Ask them what contributions would they like to make in the community. Maybe they're going to take a work day and you let the team go and we work on a Habitat for Humanity home together. That's something they can feel good about. Also a day out of the office, and people have a lot of fun doing those projects as well. A dress down day or a casual day or a jeans day, a themed potluck lunch, or an activity day where maybe we just build in, a carnival where we have activities in the morning and the lunchtime. We do something a little bit, make cotton candy or something crazy like that. Have a snowball truck stop by. there's lots you can do with that. Team building classes and activities. Remember I mentioned before that professional development needs to make sure it relates to developing the individual, helping them grow as a professional. But there are some activities that we can do here at the college for you by contract for groups. For an example, we did a paint night for a local company so that they could de-stress and have a little bit of a team building. And then we also did a cooking class for an organization. So if you're interested in any of those things for your organization, give us a call and we can talk about that. Also, a health and wellness fair is a great way to recognize and reward the team because it says you care about individuals, helping them to stay healthy and helping them be their best. All right. So we're winding down here, and I realize we're just about out of time. Just a couple words about how to create a rewards and recognition culture in your organization. First of all, it has to have leadership support. So if you're creating a whole culture, you want your whole organization to be a part of this, it really needs to happen from the top down. And it doesn't mean that anyone on this call couldn't bring that information forward to HR or to the CEO or to whoever it is in your company that can help to influence that with you. But it has to be supported by leadership. It needs to align also with the organizational culture. So you want to take a look at your culture and think about what may be the types of rewards and recognition that you would want to build in. You can't really have a culture that is very strict and regimented and then, suggest that you're going to have a carnival day, for an example. They need to make sense. They need to fit well together. You want to make sure that if you are going to be doing some rewards, you want some walking around money, you want some little gift cards that people can do, that you prepare ahead and that each manager has a small budget for recognizing people on their team. And create a culture where peers can recognize others. And so you saw from the candy bars, it doesn't have to be expensive, but it can be something a little special that you can do for a coworker when they've gone above and beyond and helped you or helped a customer, and you want to recognize that. And then the last thing is, and this is really critical, it's not a once and done. A rewards and recognition culture takes ongoing care and attention. It takes everybody being on board. It takes a commitment. I can't do it one day and not do it the next because now maybe I didn't recognize someone where I recognized somebody the day before. It has to be something that's ingrained in your processes and part of your organization, and that's something that you're looking at. Wow, so that was a lot of information we went over there. I hope you all got something out of this today. I just want to see, Michelle, do we have any questions?
It looks like you answered most of them, so I think we're good for the moment.
Okay, all right, great. Well, great, everybody. So if you have any questions after today, please just shoot us an email at our AdvantageC, info@advantagec.com. We'd be happy to answer your questions after today's webinar. And as always, these webinars are recorded. You can go back and you can share them with others in your organization. In fact, we encourage you to share them with others in your organization. And before we go for today, I want to get a really important message out to you. So we've had hundreds of people join us over the year and a half or so that we've been doing these Power Brews. And we'd like to recognize you, okay? So here we go. I'm going to use the bet model. Thank you for participating in our Power Brews and being part of our online community to help Carroll County businesses be more productive and effective and help you be more effective in the workplace. Your participation has made this possible, and so we want to recognize you with an event that we're calling PowerBrew Live. It's going to be held Tuesday, November 21st. It is free to the first 100 people that sign up, okay? Free. You heard it, free. We are having an excellent presenter. His name's John Kennedy. He's an international speaker, author, and strategist. He's going to be talking about the importance of innovation and embracing change. And he is going to be here on Tuesday, November 21st from 8 to 10 a.m. We're going to get you in and out. We're going to start at about 8:30 with the presentation. 8 to 8:30 is just, coffee and networking. It's going to be in the Bollinger Family Conference Room, which is K100 here at Carroll Community College. You heard it here first. You're going to get an email. Watch your email for the details. Again, free to the first 100 people that sign up, and we hope to meet you in person. And so that's why we're referring to it as PowerBrew Live. It will not be recorded. We will not be doing a webinar in November. We're doing this event in lieu. So we hope that you can join us. So watch your email in the next day or two, Michelle, right? We're going to be getting that email out with registration information. Okay, everyone. Thank you so much. I hope that you have taken something that you can use in your workplace today. I apologize for running over a few minutes, but go out and recognize somebody today. Have a good one. Bye-bye.